Hey, it's Natalie with the Think Yourself Academy. What drives us? Last week, we started a 3-part series on why do people leave their job? And I explained at that time that we all have different internal drivers and a series of meta programs that direct our thoughts, our behaviors, and all the systems in our brain. This week, we're digging further into a few of them. The first one that we're going to see is the stress response. So people respond differently to stress. Some people will respond with logic. Some people respond with emotion. So they either go into feeling or into thinking. So people that go into feeling, they take other people's feelings in consideration. It's much nicer to work with somebody who take your feelings into consideration. The problem is that very often they stay in their feelings and they will not consider the facts, or they won't consider the logic in order to make the decision. They respond with their feelings. And very often they are highly emotional, and they could be abrupt. They could be very high and lows. And those are the kind of people that when we say, oh yeah, we have to wear white gloves to talk to that person or walk on eggshells. So it's a good benefit to have people that can go into their feeling, because they can put themselves in other people's shoes and they can consider people's feelings when making decisions. Those who go into thinking, there's pros and cons as well, because they keep cool in very high stressful position, and they make the decision based on logic, on facts, and on evaluation. But they're very poor at showing empathy, right? And they can appear cold and unfeeling. So the type of leaders that you want to have in your organization would be those who can go into choice, meaning that they can do both. They can go into thinking and they can go into feeling as well. The second meta program is the scope. So when we're talking about scope, we're talking about the big picture or the detail. So people with details, these are the ones that would be very comfortable with lots of small details, the big document in small print, but they cannot see the overview. So it's not as easy for them if you are hiring them to supervise a global project, because they will be really good at all the details, but they won't see the big picture. And they can get bogged down in details. People that are more big picture, they prefer the overview. They can handle details for a very short period, but they're better at bigger strategists or concept creators. They generate the big ideas, but they won't implement anything. So they may appear to have their head in the clouds. They always have like these ideas, but they don't know how to implement them. So you need both in your team. You need people to have the general concept and some people to be able to put together a plan with all the details. Some people also can have both. So when we evaluate them at the programs, we can find some people that do have both at the same time. So the next one is the decision factor. So the decision factor is either people like things to stay the same, or they like differences. Or some people will have, I like everything to be different with a few things that are the same, or I like things to be the same with a few things that have exceptions. So there's benefits for both. What we need to understand is that we live in a world that changes very fast. So it is a plus to have somebody in your team. If things are very set and you have strict procedures on how you do things, you want people that like sameness, because otherwise they will try to change your processes, your protocol. If you want them to follow a certain process or rules or structure, and you have people that want the change, they won't stay in that position. And it's the same for the reverse. If you have a position that continually needs to be adapted and that changes all the time, then it's going to be challenging for somebody who likes sameness as their meta program. So even in a business where things are changing a lot, the person that is doing the payroll is going to be doing the payroll for a long time, probably very much the same way. And they are normally the type of people that like sameness. They like to redo the same thing over and over, and they're very comfortable in that, and that's fine. So as soon as you would change the system on which they operate, that's going to become a problem, because it's a type of job that is very reoccurring, that is very same all the time, and all of a sudden it's a different system and they don't like change. However, they will get used to it, and then they will continue to repeat that same task on the new system. The next one is the affiliation work style. So this one is very important to consider as well. That meta program has 3 different work styles. So the first one is independent, somebody that likes to work alone without any others. They like to have their own project, manage their own thing. Some people like to work in cooperation. So their affiliation work style is very cooperative. They like to each do one part inside of a bigger project. While some people like proximity, that's the third one. They like to work with other people around them, but control their own thing. So they like to be surrounded with other people, but they like to have control over their own project. So this is another meta program that was really affected during the pandemic, because some people that really like to work with other people, or even the proximity people who like to work in an environment where there's action, where there's other people, they were suffering working by themselves at home, while the independent people loved it, absolutely. But some people were looking forward to go back into a work environment where they will be able to cooperate and continue to work with other people. Now, the next one is reason. So the meta program of reason has two different paths again. Some people like options and some people like procedures. So people with options, they like to create different system. They like to create the procedure. They like to invent a new way of doing things. They like to test things and break the rules. While people with procedure, they don't set the procedure, they follow them. They just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. They don't like to be the ones who will be creating the procedure. And very often when somebody, and a lot of people are procedure type, and they like just to follow a procedure, if you give them too many options, they won't know where to start. They don't like many different directions. They just want you to tell them, where do I start? I start here, I do this, and then I do that, and then I do that. And very often when we are selling services or something to a client, we have to remember this, that if we sell something to somebody who is very procedure oriented and we give them so many options, it will paralyze them. They won't know what to do with that. So be aware of that. Now, the good news is, and that's what I'm doing right now in a corporation, is that sometimes it's too late. People have been there maybe for 25 years. So then after a while, they're like, okay, we're going to promote them as managers, but they don't like it. However, we can change meta programs, and that's what we're going to talk about next time. Or what do you do in an organization to avoid people going into positions that they shouldn't be in? And what do you do if it has happened? How do you fix that? How do you identify your team's meta program? And how do you rectify that if it happens that they are not at the right place? So we're going to be talking about that next time.